Hey guys, how's it going? Cook Beats here. In this video, I'm going to show what is happening as far as Spotify to my analytics and also what I'm doing right now as far as checking the new features in the Spotify for Artists segments, audience engagement, and release engagement. Now, currently, I'm at 16,500 something listeners per month. There's a 40% plus change since the last month, and that's because mainly of my recent release with Generation Smash the House, which is doing great. Now, what is really interesting about the new Spotify features is definitely that we get access to campaigns. It's called Discovery Mode. Some of you might have seen this before on YouTube if you are watching closely to what is happening with Spotify. Now, in the segment section, it's pretty interesting to see the amount of people that are actually active. So, in the total audience, I have a little bit close to 200,000 listeners, but there's only actually 3% that are active listeners, and those are the ones that I should be focused on. 2% of all the people that listen to my music online are the so-called super listeners, which are the people that actually stream my music a lot. Now, I don't know why they're listening to my music so much. Maybe because they have it on a Spotify playlist, or maybe because they go back to my profile and check for new releases. But for sure, most of the times, what I can see is that the amount of light listeners, which are the ones that randomly go and listen to my stuff, is pretty stable. What it changes over time is actually the amount of moderate or active listeners. This is very important because ultimately what I would really like to do is to know who are these guys, these 88 people, because having 88 super fans is a lot. I have a few super fans on Instagram that they're really active. They share my stuff. They ask me about new releases. They want to know more and more about me. Some of them are actually responsible for me doing this, which is the podcast on YouTube. They've been requesting for videos like this for ages. But ultimately, I want to move these moderate listeners to the super listeners range. In the audience engagement, I can see the stat, which is not super helpful, is the worldwide monthly listeners. It shows basically the growth. If I go in the streams, it will tell me the same stuff. So it's kind of like telling me that I have this amount of engagement growth over the past 28 days, which is cool. And then it breaks down by source, which is interesting. So sometimes Spotify has this thing called the radios, where you get another artist radio putting on your songs and basically introducing your music to a completely different audience that maybe you didn't even know about it. And it's pretty cool, but to me, it's still something a little bit random. The other tab, which is interesting, is the source of streams. And the source of streams, obviously 44% is somebody else, personal playlist. Personal playlists are really important because everybody's focused on editorial playlist. Everybody's focused on getting streams through a big playlist. But if you have thousands of small playlists, they actually guarantee a stable flow of streams. Then the other one is release engagement, which is in beta, as it says here. Obviously, I'm keeping everything in the worldwide. I'm not going to go and drill by country. The release engagement for greatness is 15 out of 4,136 followers, which means a very small amount of followers, which are the people that click on follow, because Spotify has this thing where you can actually follow an artist. So every time that you get a new release coming out, the followers get a notification from Spotify. I used to get emails for artists that I follow on Spotify, and then I ended up following too many artists. But the interesting thing is that it keeps growing, which is pretty good. The release engagement over the people that follow me. There is a lot of engagement for people that don't follow me. So they go and listen to the song, but they don't actually listen to other stuff from my repertoire, from my discography. And there is this little thing here which says explore marquee. Now, if we go and explore, the marquee option, which is pretty much a campaign, in fact, is inside the campaigns section, you can see that you can do something that used to be only for the Spotify Ad Studio people. If you were working with a label or with somebody that had access to Spotify Ad Studio, you could purchase ads on Spotify. But now they made this available also to artists or to labels that manage several artists. Then in the discovery mode, which is the one I have been recently checking out, I have one campaign which is on, and it will end at the end of this month, August 2023. The discovery mode, basically what we do is that it will technically suggest music to new listeners, which is something that I think is really, really important. I don't have yet the final report on how it went or what's going on here. I think that if I click on it, maybe I can have a non-updated breakdown of what's going on. For a cost of 30% of my projected royalties, so basically Spotify will not charge money to do the discovery mode, but they will take a percentage from your distribution revenue, and they'll push your song. Now this says it's updated daily, but what I'm going to do is that I'm going to wait until the end of the campaign and download the campaign results, and I'm going to share them here on my podcast for you guys to see. You really need to make sure that you're working either with a PR or with a good management, or the label is doing a good work when it comes down to pitching to Spotify playlist. And as I mentioned many times in my previous videos, Instagram and Spotify are the go-to for labels when it comes down to signing a new artist or working with a new artist. Check my videos. Don't forget to subscribe on my YouTube channel so you can get a notification when one of my podcast videos drops. And as usual, plenty of new stuff coming up, behind the scenes, studios, tutorials, making of videos. I got a new video coming up with Michelle Grimes for a release, which will drop sometime during October, and I'm going to try to document as much as possible the making, and I'm going to make a tutorial on the making of the song with Michelle. My Aesthetic is a 6 song. It took a while to put it together, totally worth it. So stay tuned and see you soon.